Hey guys, it's Elizabeth. Hey guys, I watched my first Naked Truth back last week. It was terrifying. And I say awesome way too much. But that being said, we were just listening to Chris tell an awesome story about Guess Jeans, and that's why we're 30 seconds late. Anyway, hey guys, I'm here tonight with my co-host, Gastric Tiger. Hey Scott, what's going on?
Uh, Not much. How about you, Liz? Um, so
I forgot to go get the Jack in the Box before the show. So
yeah. We were talking about to annoy Chris. We were gonna go get some Jack in the Boxes. It's one of his veins of existence living in Canada. So
oh my God, Amy's watching us live. I just have to say
wow.
that. Okay.
So today we have a special guest who really doesn't need any introduction because we all know her, even though she's kind of disappeared from the scene for a while. We love having her around whenever we can. It is the awesome Lessa Sarah.
Hi guys.
Yay!
Awesome.
Right, exactly. Awesome. Let's see how many times. Okay, everybody has to take a drink whenever I say awesome. Can you play that too? Okay, and Sarah and Chris have a new addition to their family as of today. So I think we should make that announcement here because
we should, and it's funny. He's like all wrapped up in a little blue blankie because he's a boy. But
this is why Sarah's kind of been off the scene for a little while.
But he doesn't want anyone to see him. This is our new hedgehog. His name is Magnus.
Thorin Erickson.
And we just got him today, and he's in a really crappy mood. So he doesn't want to come out and like show his little face, but maybe he will at some point, and then we'll show his adorableness. But
yeah,
I'm gonna
stage fright.
Come over to Daddy to hold him. He'll feel better about that.
Did you get the little blue blanket with him, or?
I think Chris got it like at the pet store just to put in the little carrier when we brought him home, just so it wasn't
so angry.
I know he's
He's
great. I'm just kidding.
My son would do that at 20 if I asked him to be on the show. You want to, before we kind of jump in, Scott, do you want to let us know who's watching? Because there's lots of people already.
All right. Well, we have a large list of people watching. We have here. I need to make an adjustment, Liz.
Okay. You want me to go? Okay. So.
Okay. Now, I got it now.
Okay.
All right. So we got Melissa in Tennessee, DSG. M. Lewis.
That's Margaret Lewis.
Yeah.
Hi, Margaret.
Stephen Lang. Amy, it's so good to see you watching us live. Christina Rangel. Ash Gets Sleeved. And Jody, VSG Jody, and VSG Brit Brat. And Smilin' Shrinkin'. And Al. It's good to see you, Al.
And Michael VSG.
And Michael VSG, yeah.
Yeah, the last couple of weeks we've had some what do we say, veterans, old people pop up.
Yeah.
And Jody's having a fangirl moment. Because I have a fangirl moment every time I see you because you're my YouTube person. So, but I figure like, okay, you're like a year. How far out are you now, Sarah?
This is terrible, but I actually completely forgot. But the 30th was my 4-year surgiversary. So okay. The only reason I remembered is because Michael VSG posted on my timeline on Facebook, and I was like, oh my God, is today the 30th? I completely forgot.
November 30th is your surgiversary? Okay, so you're like a year. Yeah, so you're like a year and a half before me. And then these people who are like a year and a half after me are still fangirling over you, which is pretty freaking incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we have Tina's VSG Chit Chat joining us from Australia, and she doesn't know who any YouTube people are. She's learning about them all on this show. So for Tina, can you just give us your basic stuff about weight loss?
So I had VSG surgery 4 years ago in Mexico. I had it at Mexicali Bariatric with Dr. Aceves, who unfortunately passed away a couple years ago, actually. But Mexicali Bariatrics is still around. They're still doing surgeries. I did a whole video about why I chose surgery in Mexico, which is still up on my channel, and I've talked about it a number of times, so I won't go into all that. But I would definitely do it again in Mexico. I didn't have any bad experiences, and I know lots of people who also had surgery in Mexico, so there was that. My pre-surgery weight, or my highest weight that I at least know of, was 460 pounds, and my surgery weight was around 420. My lowest weight was around like 202, something like that, and my goal weight had been like 210. And then I've definitely had some regain since then. To be honest, I actually haven't weighed myself because my scale needs new batteries. Fun. So, but I have a wedding dress to fit into, so you know.
The last one, my scale needed new batteries. I got on it. It said I weighed 168. I was like, I'm not buying any batteries.
Yeah, if I weighed myself and that's what happened, I totally wouldn't buy.
I'm like, you're good. I don't need new batteries.
Yeah, no, it just says nothing. So I'm like, okay, well, yeah.
I hear you. So just, to check in really quickly with people, Scott, how was your week? We haven't seen you in a little while, or have we? Because I'm really behind in YouTube videos. So you could have made a video and I might have missed it.
No, you haven't seen me in about a month. Actually, a little over a month. Week before last, of course, was Thanksgiving. And so it was good to spend some time with family and everything there. And then got home and realized that one of the disease vectors had decided to make Bridget and I ill. So
that sounds very Stephen King, The Stand like.
Yeah, well, little kids, we're not normally around little kids, so I think one of my nephews shared something that they shouldn't have. So Bridget and I have been suffering from a cold this week.
Aww.
So.
And Sarah, what do you got? Do you do Thanksgiving for Chris, since he's from the U.S. and it's not Thanksgiving in Canada?
To be honest, the last couple of years we actually did have American Thanksgiving. We had like Friendsgiving and we invited all our friends over. But this year, because we had a conference that we had to do, or not a conference, but a trade show that we had to do for our business the weekend before, there was just so much going on and we were just so tired after that. There was no Friendsgiving this year, unfortunately, but I mean, we will, I think, try and continue to do it. This year it just didn't work out, but we still like celebrating. I'm okay with celebrating twice. Thanksgiving here is in October,
right?
And it's never been a big deal for me. I guess it just wasn't a super big deal in my mom's family, and my dad's side of the family, they're Italian, not a big deal for them. So for me, it was never a big deal anyway. So I was just as happy to, have a small Thanksgiving dinner with like our family on Canadian Thanksgiving and have the friends over and have a big do on American Thanksgiving. So, so this year didn't happen, but normally we do.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna jump into community celebrations really quick, and I want to mention this because I think it's so funny that everybody is such a creature of habit. Yesterday, I posted the "What are you guys celebrating?" on Facebook, but I put a picture with it, and nobody commented on it. Nobody got the request for community celebration. So I was like, okay, I think I need to post it again as just text. I won't screw with you guys and do anything different. So let's do our community celebrations. First, I want to, I don't know if he's watching because I just can't keep up with chat. Chat goes so crazy now on here. It's awesome. But I don't know if Pete's watching, but Pete had, Sleeve Rocker Pete had plastics last week.
Yep.
How's he doing? I haven't been on Facebook this weekend either. Does anybody know?
He seems to be doing well, some pain and so forth, but I think the real thing that he's suffering with is boredom right now.
Yeah, and gym withdrawal. I know
he's and gym withdrawal, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be tough for him. For sure.
Like, yeah, be a problem, so.
And then also, she didn't post this, but the one video that I did happen to watch this week was Paris VSG, who is Drea's friend or wife or whatever, only it's not her real wife. I was confused about that. And then I met them at OH and found out that Drea is actually married to a man. And so we got that straight. So they're not real. It's like the sister wife thing with you and Sarah, although I was always clear about that.
Right. Yeah. Well, we were Facebook married at one point though, which I think did confuse people.
So Paris and Ray are not married, but Paris did a video. She had been in a stall for a little while. She's bumped that, and she has lost 100 pounds since surgery and almost 150 pounds since her highest weight, which is awesome. And I am always, because I mean, this was one of the reasons that I mean, other than that she said really like thoughtful and deep things in her videos, one of the reasons that I loved Sarah was because she started at a high weight. I was over 400 pounds when I started, and there aren't that many people on YouTube who were starting out at that weight. And Paris was around that weight also when she started, if you guys want to check her out. Mm-hmm. And then also because we won't have a show next week because I will be flying back from Chicago next Sunday at this time. I want to give a shout out to Patty because she will be having her plastics the 12th. So that's Monday. So I want to give her a shout out today. And now all the comments. Lynn Furlong, her surgery got moved up to December 13th. So she will be having, what's that, like a week from Tuesday. So congratulations to Lynn. Melissa Caps, she is Melissa in Tennessee, VSG on YouTube. She is down 15 pounds since her surgery on 11/16/16. Down a total of 31 pounds since she started her pre-op diet. And she is saying, see you never again to the 230s.
Awesome.
Hey, I'd really like to say, see you never again to the 200s. I'm just saying. Can I put that on the record? Like nobody knows that I feel that way. Esther says she is healthy, back on plan, life is good. Her plan is to be in Wonderland by 2017. Kim Buchanan, December 5th is her 1 year surgiversary, and what is that, tomorrow? And she is 100 pounds down, which is awesome. Margaret Lewis says, I know it's not a huge deal yet, but to me it is. I'm celebrating my last month of the stupid 6-month supervised diet. That's a big deal.
That's huge. That's huge.
That's a huge deal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Stephen Lang is also having his RMY on December 13th, and I know he's had a long pre-op process. Lindsay Fly, it is her 3-year surgiversary tomorrow, and she said she's not sure if she should be celebrating. Fuck that shit, Lindsay. You should be celebrating.
Yeah.
And we are always celebrating you. Hashtag Team Lindsay. Penny Denver is holding steady at 170, 110 pounds down in 1 year. So that's all. Okay, before we jump into everything, do you want to do a chat recap, Scott?
Sure. Let's see. Esther's VSG Trek is joining us also. Losing It For Me 42 is tuning in. Let's see. Did I miss anybody?
Are there any questions or anything?
Sleep After 60. We don't have any questions yet.
Okay.
So if you have any questions for the wonderful Lessa Sarah or any of us, go ahead and put them in the comments.
Yeah, and we have a lot of questions on Facebook for you, Sarah. But before we jump into that, can you just tell us a little bit about your experience? Like, were you overweight your whole life? What kind of got you to the point of having weight loss surgery? That kind of stuff. Yeah, find questions on Facebook because I don't remember.
Yeah, so I definitely was, that person who was always big. I always say I was born 8'2", but I was 3 weeks early. So, and my mom likes to tell the story of, she said they had to put you in the NICU because at the time I'm almost 39. So almost 40 years ago, 3 weeks early was still fairly early. And she said, yeah, they had you in an incubator beside all these little 5-6 pound babies, and you just filled the whole thing. And I was like, oh, great. So, but yeah, I was never, I think there was a few times when I was a child before puberty that I was maybe slightly larger than average, only because I just grown 3 inches or whatever, because I'm also very tall. I'm 5'10" and a half, and I was always tall. I was 5'5" by the time I was, I think, 8 or 9. Mm-hmm. So there were times when I wasn't as big, but as soon as puberty hit, and then as soon as I was my full adult height and whatever, from there just went up. And there was only actually one time that I lost any significant amount of weight during my life before I had surgery, which I think is probably different than most people's experience. I think a lot of people who have WLS have been through that like yo-yo up and down dieting. It's not that I'd never dieted before, but I just wasn't that successful at it. And that was part of the reason I chose to have WLS, is I thought, like, at 460 pounds, if I couldn't lose weight, you know, at 300 pounds, I'm 160 pounds more than that now. Like, I just felt like, for me, it wasn't my last resort. It was my only choice because of the weight that I was starting at. I just knew I was never going to be successful enough on my own. And obviously the statistics of how successful someone who is that morbidly obese is going to be are, you know, I think they normally say the stats like 2%.
Right.
And for me, I think it was probably like 0.2%. So it was more just a matter of logic more than anything, just of trying to give myself my best chance to change my life. Because again, unlike some people, especially being as overweight as I was, I didn't really have any health problems. And, you know, but my family doctor said to me, you know, at the time I was 35, and he said, yeah, but you're 35. Do you see a lot of 400-pound 80-year-olds walking around?
Hey, I was 48 when I had surgery, and I didn't have any.
Yeah. So he said, like, it might not be affecting you now. However, it will at some point. So you need to make a change now.
Yeah.
And that really hit home for me, because I was always that person that said, but I'm still healthy. I don't have this or that. And that kind of sunk in. Like, you know what? I have kids. They're young. I want to be there for them. I don't want to just be there for them when they're you know, young. I want to be there when they grow up and go to college and get married and have their own kids. I don't want that cut short, because I refuse to do something that is available to me to try and change that.
Yeah. And I mean, even though my son was older when I had surgery, it was funny today. He's a musician, and his dad was a musician too. And I'm cleaning out my storage unit, so I won't be having to pay that extra $250 a month. So I can travel to visit weight loss surgery people. But he had amp of his dad's that I swear to God, it weighs 100 pounds. And it was like one of the last things I took out of storage. I carried it up 2 flights of stairs today, and I sent a picture of it to him. And I was like, okay, your mom obviously loves you and is strong. He's like, Mom, you are like way buffer than I am at this point.
It's funny when you do something like that and you think about the fact that you carried that around and more.
And more.
Every day.
I carry, I didn't even think about that this time. I carried twice that around.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one of those moments when you go like, whoa, I never realized, you know.
That's why I never watched yours then. Scott, I think we have a couple of chat questions.
We do have a couple of chat questions. VSG Jody has a couple of questions for you. One is, she really does miss your videos, and Sarah, she was wondering if you're going to make any more.
I keep saying I might, and I have like really mixed feelings about it. I almost feel like it's not that I don't have things to say that would be useful or whatever, but I kind of feel like there's a time when you have to like move on and pass the torch to people who are more involved in the community and more, I don't know, who still have the passion and the drive about that part of WLS that is really difficult, that videos help me get through. And my point of view 4 years out is a lot different now, about how WLS fits into my life and about what makes me successful. And I don't know that everyone needs to or wants to hear that side of things necessarily. So that's kind of what
I do.
Help
those of us who are, I'm just saying. Yeah. I mean, those of us who are struggling with, okay, how do I get to the next spot, or struggling with regain or whatever. Just saying.
I mean, I think, and that may also be just I remember watching videos before I had surgery and when I was early out, of people who were 3 or 4 years out, and they would start talking about how, you know, well, everything is not about weight loss surgery. And then I'd be like, oh my God, I can't believe it's like, because your mindset is different, and it has to be that way. It has to be that way for you to be successful. You have to be obsessed with it, and you have to be all in.
Right.
Now I have a different outlook on things, obviously. I mean, I don't think it's healthy to be in it forever. You have to find that balance. But that's part of the gift of weight loss surgery. It gives you the option of having that, right? It's not in your face every day. I don't wake up at 460 and have to struggle with that every day. That's my reality.
I did not think today when I carried that amp up the stairs until you mentioned it, that I used to carry twice that much weight on my body.
Yeah.
So that's why I can say, you know, well, for me right now, it's not an everyday thing. It's not something that I constantly think about because I have, you know, other stuff that has to be a priority. And I think that that's a good thing. But I think sometimes that's dangerous when you're in that part of the journey where you need to be all in. And so it's like, I don't want to say it's okay not to be all in, but there comes a point when it is. And so that's, I guess, my struggle is like, I don't know. Yeah, I get nervous about the message that sends because I know I needed people to be like tough and like, no, you have to like do all the right things and do this and do that. So yeah.
Well, and I think the other part is at this point in the game that a lot of us veterans are in is it's very hard to not have that old camaraderie that you had with your people because so many people moved on.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like I'm not I feel like I'm not relevant right now. Like, so people will say, I'm watching your videos, and I'm like, that's awesome. I can't believe, like, why are you still watching? But where I was then 3 years ago or 4 years ago is relevant to where they are now. Where I am now is maybe totally irrelevant to them. And I feel like because I don't have that relationship with people who are watching, it's a different sort of thing. I feel like if I make a video now, it comes off like preachy because I'm not like talking to my friends and the people I know. And I don't want people to, you know, watch a video and think, oh, look, she's like, you know, on her soapbox about this or that. Before it was literally me sitting down and talking to the people that I knew were watching about what was going on and how I was feeling. And I don't want it to be disingenuous because I can't do that anymore. So yeah, I guess that's a lot of what's been holding me back, I guess, from making videos is I feel like maybe it's someone else's time, you know?
Yeah.
Why don't you ask the rest of Jody's questions and then I'll take, I know there's tons of questions now, so I want to take a couple from Facebook too. So you
Jody's other question was, are you going to WLSFA?
Yes. I'm 90% sure. So I have tickets and I'm planning on it. We have a lot of stuff going on this year. We have personal things and business stuff going on and I work stuff. So as far as I know, I am. I'm hoping that's not going to change. I can't promise with 100% certainty that I'll be there, but I'm still planning on it. So.
Okay, so a quick question from Facebook. Judy Ulrich's question is, with all the ups and downs long-term after weight loss surgery, would you do it again?
Absolutely. 100% yes. There's no way for me to really quantify what WLS has done for me or how it's changed in my life other than to say that it is probably the most positive change, the most positive experience I've had. It doesn't mean there were no bad things and, you know, there's good and bad in everything, but the way that it's changed every facet of my life and the way that it's changed me as a person, I feel is the most positive thing that I've done.
How do you feel? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I don't have any regrets. I don't know many people who do, to be honest. But
I don't know that I can think of anybody who didn't have like huge complications that are very rare who say they regretted it. I mean, for me, it's the best thing I ever did. Scott, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, my entire world is different now because of WLS. And I can't tell you, I mean, yeah, you can't quantify it. You can't say this is what changed. It's like everything has changed. You have a completely different perspective. It's like you used to look at the world at a tilt, and the world finally went right.
Yeah. I was thinking about it in the car the other day, actually, and I was thinking, you know, when you have surgery and when you're losing weight, you think that is the major thing that's changing. So you think everything changes because of that. And
Right.
people see it differently because now you weigh less or whatever it is. And I think the further out I get, the more I realize, like, yeah, my weight changed, but what changed about me was actually much more significant than that.
Right.
And so what was it? You talked about the things that changed. What do you think changed?
I mean, I was, to be honest, a confident person before, but I think now the confidence is a different thing. It's about feeling like I'm capable and feeling like I don't have excuses anymore. And I think I've said this before, maybe even on The Naked Truth, but I think sometimes we use it as an excuse. Like, oh, I didn't get the job because I'm fat, or this didn't happen because I'm fat. Not because I wasn't qualified or because I didn't try hard enough, but it must be because I was fat. And when you don't have that anymore, that's a powerful motivator, because suddenly it can't be like, oh, I can't do this because I'm fat. Because sometimes that's an easy excuse.
I think.
And when
did you feel that way? Because I wasn't that way. I mean, now in retrospect, I see how I did it sort of internally, but I was always like, well, I've done pretty well in my career, you know, whatever. And I felt like you were the same way. Do you? Yeah.
I don't know that I necessarily blamed a lot of things on it in that sense, or outwardly, but I think internally I did. And I also held myself back from doing things because I would say, oh, I'm too fat to do that, or oh, I'll never be able to do this. And that wasn't necessarily true. That was just me holding myself back. It wasn't even necessarily other people doing it. And so that has changed. And so my opportunities and my possibilities, to me personally, have broadened. Realistically, maybe they were always there, but that's why I say it's not just the weight that changed. It was my whole outlook on myself and my place in the world and all of those things. I mean, it's about just not caring about being average weight or whatever. I just didn't want to be what I called freak show fat, which was like, didn't want to be the person that people would like stare at when I went out or whatever. And that was, to me, success.
Right.
Like, if I could be able to sit on a lawn chair and not be worried about breaking it, or fit in a booth, or not get stared at in public, good enough for me. Like, I was never, didn't care about being a size 6 or, you know, and that's not a bad thing. The journey's different for everyone, right? But my goals were really more about that than they were about anything else.
Right.
So what are 1 or 2 things that you've done that you wouldn't have done before?
Oh gosh, so many things. I mean,
that's a huge question, Liz.
Sorry, I think it's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Liz.
Hey, I'm in the room. I'm in the room.
I would have done
the R-rated version, not the X-rated version. Okay.
Well, actually, what's fun is I guess it was a few months ago, Chris had found this picture of himself when he was, what he said was like probably close to his highest weight. And I said, you know, just so you know, like, I still thought you were attractive then. I would have still found you attractive then. Like, and I always say it's funny because Chris got to watch sort of my progression on YouTube. But he told me a while ago, he had never even watched some of my first videos. Like, he didn't really even know like how overweight I was. And by the time I met him, I was almost like at my goal weight.
Right.
But when I met him, he was still, you know, just recently post-surgery. Yeah, so it was a very like different experience. Yeah, so that was interesting. Not that that's really related to the question, but anyway. I think a lot of physical things that I was terrified of doing before. Now I'm like, we went to Disney World with our kids, and my youngest is just turned 7, but he's super tall. So he was able to go on every single roller coaster and thrill ride. And that's not, my oldest is not really into it, and Chris is not really into it. So I was the one that had to go on all of them with him.
You say had to.
And I, okay, well,
Awesome.
I enjoyed it.
You got to.
I wouldn't even dare, because I was always like, I'm not going to fit on that ride. Even if I could have, nope, not trying it, not doing it. Always afraid of like what was going to happen, or about being embarrassed or whatever. And it was like, the idea of being able to do that and not have to worry about it was such an incredible experience. And sometimes you don't even realize how you make those decisions for yourself. It becomes so ingrained that you either make up excuses without even knowing that they're excuses. You say, oh, I don't really like roller coasters, or I don't, and like that's some full-on bullshit. Like, I love roller coasters. I just didn't go on them before because I was afraid. So I think there's a lot of like physical things like that I didn't do before because I just was terrified of the ramifications or being embarrassed or what people thought, or and I don't even think about those things anymore. And that's the part of it that I think every day there's at least one thing that reminds me, like, oh, hey, I remember when this was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
and
sorry. Go ahead,
no,
sorry.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, and then Scott, you can ask some more questions from Facebook.
Sure.
Do you ever feel like you need, I feel this way, where I need to be reminded occasionally about where I came from, because now things are so easy that I forget.
Yes.
And every once in a while I'll watch a newbie's video and be like, fuck yeah, that sucked.
Yeah. And I think that it's easy to, especially, and I mean, a lot of people have to some degree, when you've had some regain and whatever, you look at a picture of yourself at your lowest weight. And the funny part is, and I've said this before, I didn't even like the way that I looked at my lowest weight. Like, to me, it was not me. But I look at those pictures and I go, oh God, look at this. And then I think, well, wait a minute, but like, look at this, this is where you came from. So, and there's a much bigger difference between that and where you are now than, your lowest weight and where you are now. So, sometimes I do have to go back and say, okay, you know what? You're still in that same place that you were. Like, my health is not any different than it was when I was at my lowest weight. And in my life, I'm in a much better place. I'm a much happier person. I'm much more settled. So, I'm where I want to be. And that's sort of when I say, like, I always had a struggle with how important weight was to the rest of my life. And, being morbidly obese, it affects pretty much everything. Now I don't really feel that way. Now I feel like, you know what? I could probably stand to lose some more weight, but if that doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world, because right now it's not, it doesn't need to be a priority. But then I get angry at myself when I do those typical like girl things. Like, oh, I have to go to this party. I should probably try and, just have protein shakes this week. Or, oh, I have to fit into my wedding dress. I better lose 50 pounds. Like, why? Like, is that going to actually change anything? Like, no, it's not. So I still have that like mind game that goes on. Like, do I really need to do that? Am I doing it for myself, or am I doing it for other people? So that's still, I thought that would change, and it never does.
Yeah.
Never changes.
Because I'm in this place of like having been basically at the same weight forever, and have just noticed over the last week, which I've never done before, is like this is having a fear of regain. So how do you either control the fear or know when you've gone too far or pull it back in or whatever? How does that kind of work for you?
I mean, I think it's different for everyone. I think you sort of know where you're happy. Like, I know at my lowest, even though I was all like, oh, this is great, I really wasn't happy with it.
Well, no, I remember a video when you were at your like very lowest and you were like passing out. I mean, it obviously was not a good.
It was not. And I didn't,
yeah.
I looked at it and like felt like I just wasn't. And to me, it was like really looking at a different person. And part of it is the whole like having to catch up, but that was also 18 months after I had surgery. So I had time to get used to it. It really was like, I wasn't comfortable there. And I knew that was probably going to happen. So I wasn't like freaked out about, 20 pounds of regain or whatever. For me, that was okay. The regain that I'm not happy about is the regain that I know is literally because I'm not doing what I should be doing and I'm putting crap in my mouth that doesn't belong there. And that's the regain that irritates me. And that's sort of why I'm like, oh yeah, well, the wedding is a good excuse to like get back on the wagon. But
okay, wait, let's talk about the wedding. When are you getting married? Where are you getting married? Blah, blah, blah.
we're getting married in September in Mexico, in Cancun at the Hard Rock. So yeah, so we're having the destination wedding. Because
Well,
if I ever do it again, I'm, you know.
well, the hard I didn't go to the Hard Rock in Cancun, but I went to the one in Riviera Maya.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. Okay, I'm gonna shut up and let Todd ask some questions from chat because there are a lot there.
Sure. Ash Gets Sleeved wanted to know, do you have any tips on persevering through or breaking a weight loss stall?
Oh God, okay, everyone's gonna hate me now. I never really had a stall. I'm like one of those probably very few people who never really had a stall. It just didn't happen to me. I don't know why. I don't know if it was just the sheer amount of weight that I had to lose. I have no idea. It didn't happen to me. I don't think I ever had a week where I didn't lose to some degree. Or if I didn't lose, there wasn't like, you know, if I gained half a pound, but then the next day I weighed myself and I was down 3 pounds, like it was, you know, water weight or whatever. It just didn't happen to me. Obviously I had slowdowns, but never a stall. So, but I know from having many, you know, friends, obviously in the community that had experienced that, how frustrating it can be. And it's very hard to stay motivated, very hard. But what I will say is, there are a lot of people who have been there and there are a lot of people who have been through it. So if you can find those people, find those videos where people are talking about it, it helps to give you that sort of like.
Yeah. And if you're very early out, it's about bumping up your calories usually. I mean, that's what I didn't stall. I mean, Sarah and I were the same because we had so much weight to lose. I didn't really stall until last year. But about bumping up your calories or just shifting stuff around. And that could even be that if you were being super low carb, taking a day where you bump up your carbs so you're kind of keeping your body.
Well, and I think the main thing really is to, especially if you're in your first year out, if you're worried about a stall, what you need to do is just persevere. Because your tool is gonna do the job if you're doing what you're supposed to do. Yeah, and the weight's gonna come off.
Yeah, you know deep down whether you're following the program or not.
Right.
And I totally believe that stalls are real things, and it's not like, oh, if you're in a stall, clearly you're not doing things right. Like, no, they're absolutely a thing that happens. And I mean, I don't know if anyone really knows why it happens to some people and not others, but I always felt terrible seeing people talking about, you know, I've been at the same weight for 2 months. That's something I never experienced, but I know that it must really screw with you.
Right. Yeah. It's a mental mind game.
Yeah. Like that success back, no matter how small, of losing weight says, okay, I'm on the right track. And you start to question, are things working right? Am I doing the right thing? So.
Yep. That's
there's no harm in trying different things. Like Liz was saying, there's no harm in trying, you know, low carb it, high carb it, more exercise, do less exercise.
Yeah.
Different.
Particularly in the beginning, we get so stuck on these really low calories and your body is just freaking out. So, and it's like,
it doesn't work for everyone. It worked for me for a while, but it stopped working for me at a certain point, and I don't really know whether I could do it now. I just seem to be the kind of person who needs to have like some carbs in my life to be able to function properly.
Yeah.
So
I just noticed one community celebration up at the top of chat. So Tina VSG Chit Chat, our friend who I'm always teasing for not knowing, she didn't even know less of Sarah or Melly May or Gracie. I don't know how she felt about Ruth, but I'm so glad you did, Tina, because you were super sweet. But she has a community celebration. Her second oldest son is having a boy child. So that's exciting.
Cool.
And I will have to throw out my own community celebration, which is I'm also having a grandson. So I have a granddaughter already who's 2, and my stepdaughter is pregnant again, and we just found out last week that it was a boy. That's awesome.
Awesome. Yes. All right. Here's another question for you, Sarah. At what point do you feel like you got to it not being every aspect of your life as far as like WLS?
Well, I would say it was probably somewhere between that like 18-month and 2-year mark for me, because it took me 18 months pretty much to get to goal.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, until you get to goal, for most people, it is going to be an everyday, all-encompassing thing because you just want to get there. Once you get to goal, it's not that it can't be an everyday, all-day thing, but it just changes. And for me, the unfortunate part was a whole bunch of things collided in my life where at the time that I got to goal, my marriage was ending and all this stuff was happening. And so I kind of didn't have a choice at that point. I had to sort of put it on the back burner and concentrate on other things, just getting my shit together. Had that not happened, I don't know. I'm not sure whether I would have, I guess, persevered longer with the, you know, I can be a very obsessive person. I don't know if anyone's noticed. So it might have been longer, and but I'm not sure that would have been a good thing for me either. So it's one of those things I'll never know. But for me, it really changed after goal. But again, I'll never know whether that was just circumstance as well, or whether it was just getting to goal that it changed. But I feel like it has to probably take most people, I would say, beyond getting to goal, or even if you don't get to goal, but at the point where you stop losing weight, and it has to be a big part of your life. But eventually you figure out that it isn't the be all and end all, and that you need to focus on other things, just like everything else. It's like anything that you do, you know, there's going to be times when that thing is super important, just like work, or, you know, whether it's dealing with your family or whatever it is. There's always going to be ups and downs to everything, and ebb and flow. And there may come a time when it's super important to me again. But right now it's one of those things. I think about it, but it's on the back burner.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read one of the questions from chat because Christine wants to know where you got your earrings from. I think that's a very important question to ask.
I got them in Boston at Newberry Comics, I guess a year and a half ago. They're wood, like laser etched. I don't know how easy it is to see. They're like laser etched wood earrings.
Awesome.
I wear them all the time.
And then this is a question for both of you guys from me, because I have what I've sort of named the like 2-year post WLS mindfuck. For me, I think that it's when you've lost enough weight that your life has sort of gotten to be normal, and then you have to start dealing with shit without food. Did you guys experience that? And if so, how did you deal with it?
I'm still experiencing that.
Yeah. I didn't say when it ends. I'm still experiencing it too. But do you find that, I mean, I just think that it's because maybe, you know, we use fat as an excuse for everything forever. Plus when stuff would happen. So now we like have real life, because at least for me, I'm open, there's relationships, there's conflicts with people that when I was sitting in my living room eating Baskin Robbins and watching TV all day, I didn't have, because I never went outside.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Now when it happens, I don't have food to go to. So did you guys experience that? And if so, what did you do to fix it? Please tell me right now.
Well, I'll let Scott go first.
Okay. Well, I think early out, I did a lot of work in the gym, and that helped me to learn who I was now, and to try to build my confidence that I didn't have before. Now I really have been trying to reach out to friends, because I think friends are one of the most important parts of this whole process, because without support, you're going to have a very hard time getting through this thing. So, you know, that's why I still make videos. That's why I still reach out to people, and I'm very active on Facebook, is I know I need that to not gain more weight and to just keep myself accountable.
Oh, and wait, Scott, I have a very important question for you.
Yeah.
How do you still have Gastric Tiger as a Facebook name? I'm just curious.
I don't know. For some reason, I think the name Gastric sounds enough like a real name that no one has taken it away.
Okay. You were like the only person left over from back in the day who still has a like VSG name.
I know.
Yeah.
So Sarah, did you have anything about that you want to say about the 2-year mindfuck?
Well, so here's the weird thing, because apparently I'm strange. Go figure. I never really was an emotional eater. I was just an eater in general. Like, I mean, I just ate a lot because at that point at 460, like you have to eat a lot. But I mean, it wasn't really, in fact, I was the opposite. I was like, if I was emotional about things or whatever, I didn't eat. And it was like that until probably a year ago. And then all of a sudden something changed, and I'm still trying to figure out what that was. And this speaks to the whole, when people say the struggle, you know, never ends. 100% true. Like, I won the battle for a while, but the war continues, right? It's never going to go away. You're never going to be able to just ignore it like it doesn't exist. Like, oh, I lost weight, now I go back to eating Cheetos all day.
No.
It doesn't work. And even in the mental sense, it's the same thing. It's not just your body, it's your mind. Things still come up. And so all of a sudden now, when I'm stressed or emotional or whatever, I want to put crap in my mouth. And that wasn't a thing for me before. And I don't understand why, after all that's gone on, that's suddenly a thing now. So that's like my struggle right now, and my thing that I need to deal with is, why is that happening, and what am I going to do about it? So what did I have before?
Now I get it back. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Why did it now? So yeah, I mean, and strangely enough, in my mind, it's sort of like, oh, right. So I turned into a normal woman. I turned into a So for me, sometimes those things were like a big deal. Like, I remember the first time I noticed that I was bloated. Like, when skinny women talked about like, oh my God, it's that time of the month and I'm all bloated. And I'd be like, I'm like, I weigh 400 pounds. I wouldn't know if I was bloated.
But
I actually
so much
that I bloated. I was like having a party. Like, oh my God, I'm normal. I noticed that I'm bloated. Like, oh my God, I'm normal. I want to eat this whole pint of ice cream because I'm sad.
I'm going to
still not. So.
What's a snowman Liz posed? I don't know. Sorry, I was looking at chat, but I have one more question, and then I'm going to let Scott ask the rest before we are done off of the chat. But so, do you ever feel like, because I occasionally feel like this, particularly when I'm going to conferences, when you've, you know, been very open about your life on YouTube, how does that feel when you go into a conference and you're meeting new people who know everything about you and you may not know as much about them?
You know, it's funny. I think I was talking about this at WSFA this year. I actually feel guilty about it. And the reason why is that when I meet someone who, you know, has watched all my videos and knows everything that went on in my life and all these things, I don't know anything about them, and it makes me feel bad because they could talk to me for hours about everything that they know about me, and I don't know anything about them. And it's like, I feel like I don't want to be like giving them the third degree. Like, well, tell me about you. But like, it's just it's an uncomfortable situation to be in because I feel bad that I can't connect with them on the same level that they feel like they're connecting with me. And that makes me feel bad. Like, I want to be like, oh, of course.
Right.
In the day, I used to watch like everyone's videos. So even if I met someone, I might not know them, but I might not have talked to them, but I could say, oh, I've seen your video, or I know you're friends with this person or whatever. And I could at least somehow make a connection with them. I don't have that anymore. And so it's sad to me.
People who don't even make videos. I mean, so you don't even really, you know, you couldn't do that anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that happened as well, but I at least still felt like there was some kind of connection there because maybe we were friends on Facebook. And the funny thing is that I still will meet people and they'll say, oh, I'm so-and-so, or I'll see them and I'll be like, oh, you are so-and-so.
Right.
And they'll be like, oh my God, how do you know who I am? And I was like, well, we're friends on Facebook. And they'll say, oh my God, I didn't realize you ever saw my post. I'm like, yeah, well, so that's the funny thing.
Do you
that, like,
do you feel because not everybody is really vulnerable in their YouTube videos. I mean, a lot of people make YouTube videos, but a lot of people, it's just like, these are the stats and this is what I'm eating. But I feel like you were pretty vulnerable in your videos. Mm-hmm. And you went through a lot of life changes on YouTube. Right?
I did. Yeah.
I feel like I was pretty vulnerable am pretty vulnerable on YouTube too. Do you feel like that same person when you show up at conferences, or do you feel like there's something about being behind the camera on YouTube that makes you able to be a little more open?
I think I am still that person, although I think it's harder in like a group setting.
Yeah.
When I was making a video, I was thinking about like talking to a person. I wasn't thinking like, oh, I'm going to talk to like 1,000 people that might watch this video, or well, at the time I never thought it would be that many people, but yeah, I felt like, to me, it was like I was talking one-on-one to a friend. And I used to tell people that who said, I want to make videos, but I'm scared or I'm nervous. And I'd say, well, listen, just sit down and imagine you're talking to your best friend about how your week went or what you're afraid of or whatever it is. And that was part of the way that I could be sort of that vulnerable, was that's always how I thought about it. That's a lot harder in a group of people. So sometimes I might be sitting with a group of 10 people talking to them, and someone might ask some really deep and like meaningful question, and it's like harder to be quite as vulnerable or to say what you want to say when it's like 10 sets of eyes on you. So to some degree it is more difficult than when it's just you and your iPad. But do you ever try and be I think regret is a strong word. I don't think I regret it. I think if I had it to do over again, there would be certain things that maybe I would do differently. But at the same time, I think people used to ask like, well, how can you be, so vulnerable? How can you do whatever? And I would say like, they would say, I wanted to make a video about this, or this happened, I want to make a video, but I was too upset, or I thought it would be whatever. And I said, listen, the videos that you don't want to make, those are the ones that people connect to the most.
Absolutely.
Right? It's always the video where you're like, I don't want to make this video. I don't want to talk about this thing. I don't want to be, those are the videos that people connect to. So for me, even when I had to make a video like that and it wasn't necessarily all about weight loss surgery, there were other people going through the same thing. And then I would get messages and I would get, emails or texts from people saying like, oh my God, I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm going through that too. I just don't want to talk about it, or I don't want to be open about it, but I'm so glad that you're talking about this thing, or I'm glad that you're talking about your experience. So, there obviously were certain things I maybe wish weren't as public.
Yeah. I'm sure. But it's all good now.
It's all good now, in the end, I think if it helped one person, then I'm okay with it. That's always how I felt about this whole thing. If it helps one person, then I did something good.
Well, and I haven't met a YouTuber that has posted a video that posts videos that are vulnerable that hasn't thought 5 seconds after they posted the video, oh crap, what have I done?
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, Scott.
And definitely been video down, or I need to not, but yeah. I
took some down, but I just put them back up because I got so many comments from, when I was going through my breakup stuff, I got so many comments from people who, who I didn't know, who are people who don't, usually comment a lot on videos, saying that it really helped them to hear somebody who wasn't just like, somebody did something to me, fuck you, I'm done. And the reality, I think there are more of us who can't let go that easy just because somebody fucks you over.
Absolutely.
I'm like, you know what? Put them back. Who cares? Whatever. So, whatever. Okay, Scott, as many questions as you can get in like 4 minutes, and then inside the WLS questions.
All right. This one is a relatively large one, and if you don't want to answer, Sarah, you don't have to. But someone was wanting to know. Let me see if I can find it. Sorry, I lost it for a second. Anyway, she was wanting to know because divorce after WLS is relatively common. She was wanting to know if your divorce was caused by your weight loss.
No. I'm not saying it's not possible in a lot of cases, but in mine it wasn't. So the problems that we had started long before WLS, and the only way in which I think that my surgery or my weight loss had something to do with it was that I realized I hate when people say like, well, I deserve more. It wasn't that, or I deserve to be happy. It's not that I didn't feel I deserved it, but I felt like where I was okay. Like I wasn't happy, but at least I wasn't that unhappy, so it was all right. And I realized, you know what? There's more to life than that. And I've gone through so much, and I've changed so much, and I've done so much to be happy that I need to actually allow myself to do that. I need to allow myself to grow. I feel like that was part of our problem in our relationship, was that we didn't allow each other to grow. There was something about us as a couple where we didn't let the other person, neither one of us, somehow didn't let the other person grow. It wasn't an obvious thing. It wasn't something that I could point out like, oh, it was this or that. It wasn't on purpose. It just was what it was. And there was a point at which I said, I can't do this anymore. I need to be able to move on with things. That wasn't really about weight loss, but it was about what changed about me through that process. But it didn't have to do with wearing a smaller dress size. Let's put it that way.
Right. Yeah. All right.
And again, I think we were both saying at this point it was a positive thing. So
yeah. Looking through the rest of the questions, I think you've answered pretty much all the rest of them in the chat. So Liz, you want me to go ahead and move on to the other questions?
Yeah.
All righty. So we're moving on to the part of our show where we always ask our special guests a list of questions that probe their minds and their spirits. Okay. So the first one is, what is your favorite word?
Strumpet.
Strumpet.
What is that?
Strumpet, it's like the same thing as a trollop or a loose woman, or
Yeah. Awesome.
Like a slut, but not quite a slut. Just
like a class, like a classy slut.
Classy slut.
Yeah, slut, exactly.
All right. Okay. So, what is your least favorite word?
It's not moist. And I know everyone hates it.
That word is on squash.
Do you know what word I really don't like? And I don't know if you guys say this in the US because it's like a British thing, but galoshes, which are like rain boots. I hate the way that word sounds. Like galoshes. It just sounds disgusting.
Well, where I live, we never say that. Where Scott lives, they might.
Yeah. I mean, I know what galoshes are.
Yeah.
All right.
But
so,
it's just a weird.
Yeah, it kind of is an odd word. Okay. Yeah. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally? And not Chris.
That's not
or
answer.
Okay.
Travel. Travel is the thing that, if you said what is the thing that enlightens you and energizes you and lifts your spirit, travel is the thing. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Seeing new places, meeting new people, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, adventure.
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 Exactly.
Right. All right. So what turns you off?
I didn't say Chris to that one either. So just saying.
Yeah. The U.S. election.
Amen.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in truth and transparency and all that sort of stuff, and I try to be that way with people, and I like people to be that way with me. So I'm not into people who are like fake and not real with me.
Yeah.
So
the U.S. election.
Pretty much.
So the U.S. election.
Pretty much.
Exactly.
All right.
The election's already better, mind you, but yeah.
Right. All right. So what is your favorite curse word?
Fuck, obviously.
Obviously.
Mostly because you can use it in any circumstance. It has so many different purposes and
Right. Yeah, it has great utility.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What sound or noise do you love?
I know.
Nope. I love the sound of the rain.
Okay. What sound or noise do you hate?
Mm,
Sound of the wind.
that was like my children? No. You know what? There's nothing that I really hate. I will say, like, the whole like nails on a chalkboard, or like when you're cutting something and your knife slips on the plate and it makes that terrible noise. That's
Yeah.
not my favorite. But there's nothing that I'm like, oh, I can't stand that.
Right. Okay. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Yeah, astronaut. That's definitely. I know I've been asked. I just have a really hard time answering it. I love like creative stuff. I obviously used to do graphic design and that sort of thing. So I would love to do like interior design, or be a florist, or an architect, or something that still had like that kind of bent to
Right.
it. I would love to be a florist, in the sense of like putting together flowers and whatever. I don't think I would actually really want to be a florist though. Like working in a flower
Right.
shop all day probably wouldn't be that exciting, but I like to think that.
Right. Well, you know, if you could sing while you're doing it, it sort of reminds me of, you
Could
know,
be the singing florist. Yeah, it's true.
you could. Yeah. All right. What profession would you not like to do?
Oh, anything that's like dirty. Like, I'm not really a manual like
Doesn't want to be a porn star.
would be fine. I'm okay with like kind of dirty. I mean, like, I don't want to like work in a sewer, or be I'm not sure what the politically correct word for like garbage man is, or like
a sanitation worker.
a sanitation worker. I don't like, nothing that involves like mud or dirt or garbage or any of
Yeah.
that stuff. God bless people who do that. I'm not that person.
Yeah. I completely understand. Okay. Last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Surprise! That's pretty much what I think.
Awesome. Okay, well,
There would be a big surprise.
it would not. Stop it. So thank you for being here. We appreciate your once annual appearance. Can we have like a wedding shower for you guys before September?
I would love that.
And you both can be on like a virtual wedding shower in August?
I'm totally down with that.
Wait,
Okay.
who's buying me what?
I'm buying you Jack in the Box gift certificates.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Liz is gonna buy a taco and eat it for you.
That's right. I'm gonna eat a taco on the Naked Truth for you. But no, maybe actually I'll buy magic churros, because I actually like them better than the tacos.
Oh yeah. Well, any kind of churros it's still good. Yeah.
Is the hedgehog out of hiding? Can we see the hedgehog's face or no?
Oh, I don't know. Is he sleeping?
He's active, but very angry.
He's
right
mad. Yeah, I think
No,
he's just
I'm
like,
mad.
hey,
Hedgehog.
going-
Okay.
now. Well, he needs to come out so his mom can have him. He's under the blanket.
he's under the blanket.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, no, he's
Thank
he's
you.
refusing to be on camera again.
Here.
Well,
Here.
so thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. Everybody wants to hear from you every so often, because you've been such an important part of so many people's journey. I mean, mine particularly. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Yep. And mine.
Thank you guys.
And so no show next week. You guys are going to be on your own next week, because I'll be on a plane. And then the following week, Christian Haney is going to be our guest. So I hope you guys will tune in for that.
Have a
And
great time.
I will. All right. I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.